Hey, we're here.
We are here. We are so here.
We're so
Uh,
here. We knew we were talking because we have our like pre-care,
mhm,
our like pre-care and our aftercare that we do to these conversations, which is cool.
mhm. Yeah, yeah. And I think we
Yeah.
kind of know what we want to talk about, but also, who knows? It's all this big pocket of world and that, circulating love. It's like not just conflict or trauma or social justice or whatever, it's just everything. But yeah, I think
Yeah.
like one of the questions that I had about, for or one of the ideas I had around talking today was like this bigger picture question of like how does our lived experience, our trauma, impact the way that we handle conflict, right? Because I'm a trained conflict mediator and I have all these, thoughts, I'm an abolitionist or I like to live out abolitionist values. Transformative justice practitioner, all these different levels of things. And then, of course, there's like lived experience and trauma and how that shows up. And I realized,
Mhm.
yesterday in an interaction that like, wow, for a long time, like there were some like really unhealthy ways that I was handling conflict with somebody that like just set up, and I finally had to like be like, no, 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 I'm not doing this again. I'm just not doing this again. Period. Won't
Yeah.
do it.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm wondering, if you have thoughts on that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for for me, the first thing that comes to mind for me is like shutdown and avoidance. Because for me, when we talk about trauma in general, like we could be talking about a lot of things, but when we're talking about how it shows up in conflict, I think a lot about our interpersonal trauma, like,
Yeah.
and that may be in childhood. For me, that starts in childhood. So, like, a way that I survived a lot of the conflict around me or happening that involved me was to be quiet, to be small, to not take up space, to shut down, to avoid, to pretend I'm not, to try to not hear what I was hearing. And so that's the same thing that often happens for me in conflict is um, the panic, the heart race, and then sort of like the that like freezing up, or like that I'm out. That I'm like to the point literally where I was in a conflict once with my partner when we had early on. I don't know if I told you the story. We had early on moved in together, and there was a neighbor with having a huge argument. It was totally triggering. I didn't realize it. We were both feeling it. Even our cat was like shedding. Like we were all stressed out by this like conflict constantly happening beneath us. And we were in the middle of conflict, and without even looking, I like went to the door and I unlocked all the locks, the deadbolts, and all that. And she's like, "Where are you going?" And I was like, "I don't know, but I'm like, I don't know, I'm out." Like,
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. And it like thankfully it like broke the spell, because I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm going. Like, but
Running
that's like,
away.
yes, that's that like automatic reaction though that happens. It's like imprinted. It's imprinted in the body.
Mm, mm. Yeah. Yeah. I definitely grew up in a way of, there's like this phrase in, black households, like, like I'll give you something to cry about sort of thing, and that's like all it like really like encompasses this whole like, just respect your elders, which of course like respect then just meant like be subservient and listen to, so I definitely went through like a long period of time of like, and I mean, it's not like it's over. I feel like there's like pieces of me, like, done, I healed, I'm done. But it's like where I don't want to like speak up to say something's wrong. I think that that was like a lot of what happened with me at Rise Up, and like how I got to working 90 hours a week was like, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I'll do it. That's fine. Like I'd say no once and then I'd be like, oh, but you really want me to? Okay, cool. Like, yeah, 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 I'll do it. That's fine. But I was thinking a lot about, when I was in middle school, through high school. Like I buried a friend almost every 6 months from like eighth grade until I was like 20. Um,
Damn.
and I think one of the things of like affluenza, and like a lot of like I grew up in like a wealthy area, was that everyone had, it was like drugs, it was parties, it was, drunk driving, it was, you know, out late night swimming with beer, like it was all these things that like led to a lot of death, right? And like there were many people um in my life that were close friends, many men, boys, I guess at that point, many boys that I had been like romantically or otherwise bodily intimate with, right? Who I had like put boundaries in between me and them because of their behavior, like their use, drug use or whatever it was, and they died. Like off the top of my head right now without even going through it, like I can think of four, right?
Yeah.
Um and so that brought up something in my romantic life growing up was this like, well, if I leave you, you're gonna die, and it's not my fault. Um,
Shit, yeah.
so like I definitely for a long time was just like, okay, like I'll give you another chance. Yeah, sure, let's try and work it out. I'll give you another chance. Like, I don't want to put this boundary up. And so that's like a big thing for me that I've really realized that it's just like it's fear that's keeping me in, and that's not like a good place to come from for conflict navigation.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's like, damn, thanks for sharing that. That's heavy.
you
Fear
know,
is
you know,
just some deaths, you know.
just little thing.
Um no, fear, yeah, like I think about how it's a normal feeling. It's a natural feeling like we're gonna feel. We're it's a part of like our survival mechanism to feel fear. Um it's an important thing for us to feel. And it's like not like you said, it's not um we can't really think we're just thinking in survival mode, really, when you're thinking from fear or when you're
Yeah,
in that place.
yeah,
Your nervous system is literally you get tunnel vision just like you would if you were
yeah,
the stories they often say in like trauma trainings would be like if you were like trying to outrun a animal chasing you or something like it's the same thing like you can't see all the options or opportunities or you can't see the other perspectives. There's also this like mental tunnel vision that we get, so it is really difficult, if not impossible, to like really resolve conflict from that place. Although you can easily kind of easily, you can, move back into like a more regulated state, obviously. Like I said,
yeah,
that example where I'm like undoing the deadbolts and not even looking at them and just and like
yeah,
opening the door like and then the spell breaks when it's like, where are you going? I'm like, I don't know where I'm going, but I don't know if I can stay here, but I don't know why I can't stay here. Like
yeah.
um so it's yeah, there's definitely like there's ways to work with it. It's not possible to not feel afraid at times. We shouldn't really hope for that because there's a lot to be afraid of. There's a lot
Mm,
to be whether we're talking about that's on a societal level or if we're talking about that interpersonally. Um, Loving people makes us vulnerable to hurt. Not that we can't withstand that, but when we've experienced hurt and pain and loss or violence, then we know like the weight of the risk, um, and our body knows it's imprinted, just like the pattern you're talking about and my pattern of I'm out.
hmm hmm
Yeah.
But what you said is so, just you said it twice, and it feels important to say that, being in a dynamic with somebody who will be curious about your behavior, like where are you going, is like a lot different than like, leave then, motherfucker, you always just walk out, like, right?
Oh
Because
shit! Yeah.
like that could go so it's like, conflict is a choose your own adventure book, right? Like it's like if you want to tell someone to go to fuck themselves, please go to page 47, like and but I think that that's like an important the that reset, the spell is broken. It's like, we're not always all supposed to be on our best behavior all the time. Like that's like
Right.
it takes a village. Like, and if there's someone you can care about that can, be curious first versus like, you know, just jumping to their anger or frustration or, so I feel like that's a huge part of maybe why you were able to even be aware of that. Like that could have gone a whole different direction.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Literally, I was going another direction. Um, and like, yeah, if in the middle of like a conflict like that, if one person can, still stay within themselves, still be regulated, it can be really helpful for that co-regulation. But then if that's not balanced, if it's imbalanced in the relationship, one
Yeah.
person's that's then right. We know that. We've talked about
Yeah.
that before.
That's,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you're always the one who's regulated, you're always the one who's doing the emotional labor, you're always the one trying to like
Yeah.
ground the person, and
Yeah.
that can then create its own harmful dynamic to the relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, and I have I mean I quoted myself earlier. It's always so weird when I quote myself, but obviously it's like I put it in a song because I believed in it. Like this like whole thing of like, I'm a paragon of empathy. I know it all the reasons be didactic in a way that shadows all my needs, right? So it's like I am
Mm-hmm.
so committed to like understanding why someone is treating me a certain way, and like wanting to make sure that I'm helping them. Like this is my big thing. Like, but I want you to understand why you're treating me this way. Or like, I want you to understand why I'm feeling upset. Like, I don't want to walk away with you being upset with me. Like, this was like a big part of, my life for a very long time was like, oh, like, okay, I drank water this morning and that upset you. Okay, I guess I'll never drink water again, like, because I don't want you to be upset, whereas like now I can be like, hmm, you know, I hear that you were upset by me drinking water. I'm going to keep drinking water. And, like, like, I don't know what to do, right? And like, there's always that like thin line, right? Where I've heard people talk about this, like when someone says like, "Oh, I'm sorry you feel that way," like that's like not like a real apology, or whatever. So I mean, like, there's no black or white in this moment, right? And like,
Mm-hmm.
I deeply believe like I can't make someone feel a certain way, right? Like I have actions that they can feel a certain way in response to those actions. And, at some point they can decide if they don't want to be in a space because the things that, like the things that I'm doing make them feel a certain way. And not saying, like if the thing that I'm doing is like, kicking someone in the shins and they're like, I feel really hurt by you kicking me in the shins, like, and I keep doing it, like I'm not saying that like I'm a good person and I have every right to kick you in the shins, but like, you know there's like this like, again, like related to this situation I just had, like somebody reached out to me and they were just like basically like, you were treating me like shit yesterday. I'm like, I didn't even say hello. I didn't even like, I have no desire to be in a relationship with you. And we can find ourselves in spaces. And me not saying hello is not treating you like shit. Because I have very clearly over
Mm-hmm.
many years, like, asked for things and have been like, well, this is not, you are unable or unwilling to show up in the way that, like, I hope that friends will show up, and so therefore there's this, um yeah, and I think that like that is a real struggle, and that was a real struggle for me for a long time. Like I don't want anyone to be upset with me ever, and so I would
Right.
change myself so no one would be upset with me. And even with this person I was like, oh, I don't want you to be upset with me. Okay, well, that's fine. Yeah, sure, let's hang out again. Yeah, let's be friends again. Yeah, I'm here for you, whatever it is. And now I can finally be like, cool, you know what, you're gonna be upset, and I'm gonna go ahead and honor, like my shirt says, it's the protecting my peace part for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I relate to that a lot. trying to manage how someone else is feeling towards me, and that feeling, seeing certain emotions in other people feeling scary to me, whether it was about me or it wasn't about me. And again, it's just that it's like pattern, like, your brain is scanning, or at least my drama brain is scanning and going, oh, that person seems upset like this other time. It's not like consciously thinking about it, but it's just like that automatic response, when you're in more of that survival mode. Um, it's gotten me into this. It's like sort of the opposite of what I was saying before, where it's like, oh, like my pattern is to run, but my pattern is also to try to like make it all better, and
Yeah.
um, kind of squash it down almost. And doing that same thing to myself also too, in terms of, especially with my own anger. A lot of my own healing has been healing my relationship to my own anger. Um, I recently had because I would do the same thing. I would squash it down. I watched other people be angry. I myself engaged in behavior when I was angry when I was younger that I look back on and wish I had never done. And so I, it was really, it's taken a lot of time, and it's a continuous relationship to like cultivate allowing space for my anger and not
Yeah.
feeling like that's destabilizing to my system. Um, and recently I had a conversation with somebody, and I just happened to be with a friend, and I got a text from somebody, and I was like, you know what? I'm fucking pissed about this thing. And they were like, oh, that's not right. You're not like, that's not right of you. And I was like, it's not about it being right. This is just what I feel right now. And if I
Yeah.
don't let myself, like, I know it's not logical, but this is the feeling that I have right now. And if I don't let myself feel this here, where it's safe to, where I'm not taking it out on this person, I'm not, like, I'm just here in our friendship, saying this, like, then I'm squashing it down, and that builds resentment for me. And I know that. So I
Mm-hmm.
have to just let it out. I
Mm-hmm.
have to give it that space to breathe. I've gotten into that, where anger is dangerous in other people, anger is dangerous in me. Um, and again, it's just been like a really long process of trying to work through that, to allow myself to
Mm-hmm.
have that, and then dealing with other people's reactions to that too, who also like, it's like kind of like a policing of emotions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I this is like reminding me of this saying, I mean, I definitely do well with like little like short blurbs, right? To like remember like things like when I'm like in panic modes, but like there's no such thing as bad feelings, right? You know?
Mm-hmm.
And I deal with this a lot too with anger where I'm just like, I'm angry. No, I'm not. Like it's okay, like, cause I'm a peaceful, loving, happy, empathetic, understanding, like I don't get angry. Um and so, but the giving it space to breathe, sometimes I feel like anger can be like a secondary feeling. There's like, well, like why am I angry? If I look at like my feelings and needs chart, it's like I'm feeling angry because of a lack of this, or I'm not feeling
Mm-hmm.
this. And so if you're ignoring the anger, then you're not really getting to the root, which then like you
Mm-hmm.
could never actually say to the person, when you do this, I feel this, and it's because of this, right? You know,
Mm-hmm.
like,
Mm-hmm.
like you're angry because I'm drinking water. Like, why? Like you're angry because I'm not saying hello. Why? Like, what does that mean? And I feel the same way with shame. We have like told ourselves, like shame, like no one should shame, and it's like, well, shaming other people doesn't necessarily work, but it doesn't mean that like if I feel shame, I feel ashamed of something. Like, well, why? Oh, maybe it's not in line with like maybe the thing I did is not in line with my values. And it's okay for me
Mm-hmm.
to like acknowledge that I feel this thing. And yeah, so it's just like all of the feelings, it's not bad, it's not good. It just is. It just
Mm-hmm.
is. And if I'm not putting in the work to find out why it is, it'll probably just
Mm-hmm.
continue. Or if I'm just trying to ignore it, it'll probably just continue.
Yes. And I definitely did that for a long time, of like, I'm supposed to feel this way, or I shouldn't feel this way. What's the right response to this situation? And like being that internal policing, even
Yeah.
myself, being like, I'm angry. No, I shouldn't be angry. And trying to even jump to the logical, like, what is it actually? And it real, like, even just like letting myself feel it more and more has
Mm,
really helped me actually get
mm.
really release it and really get deeper to like what it is I'm needing.
Yeah. I I'm laughing at myself. I can think of like three or four different like recent conflicts where like someone did, including yesterday, right? But like where someone did something like really messed up, and like cursed me out or something because like, remember one time like I wouldn't give someone a hug and she like texted me and she was just like, that's fucked up, like I thought you were better than that. And my immediate response, because I was like, fuck that, I'm gonna go back and then I was like, I know it can feel hard to not receive, but blah 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 blah. But understand, like I don't owe bodily contact to anybody, and I was just like, nah, I was pissed off. Like, why did I jump to like making sure that she understood her feelings, right? Like you're feeling angry, I won't hug you because, maybe need for connection, need for acceptance, like all these different things. But I'm like, well, why am I angry? Like, yeah, I definitely just jump first to like, what is the, um, you know, Kelly McKenzie, MSHV, embodied social justice, conflict navigator response to things, and not
Yep.
like, yeah, this bitch just said.
Yes.
I've got to, two things can be true at once, like dichotomy, right?
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Mm,
Yes.
yeah. Oh, it's already 10:55.
It's time.
We
Yeah.
talked about things. Any last thoughts?
Um, I don't know. No.
All right.
So much more to say. Yeah.
So much more to say for another
Yeah.
day.
Yes.